up right after Hakeem. Yeah, I think all of us who followed Barb on Facebook and elsewhere, we're aware of all the great obituaries recognizing her, not just on blogs in New Mexico, not just in the media in New Mexico, but nationally. And you know, Barb, they talk about her, some talk about her as a New Mexico progressive blogger, some talk about her as a political activist. She was those things. You know, Democracy from New Mexico was not just an outlet. Certainly, I didn't have to follow Hakeem, but Brian said a lot of what I wanted to say. And but Barb was more than a blogger, an essayist. That was important, but she was an activist. She fought to get the right stuff into the party's platform. She fought to get the right people elected. And she was a facilitator and organizer. She showed other people how to do those things and encouraged them to get involved. And, and that's all good, but what made it so much better and so much worthwhile was that she was right. The position she took was right, and she always came from a point of principle: help the underdog, do what's right, do what's fair, do what's fair. And let's be honest. If you had a D after your name, that was not insulation for whatever you did. And frankly, you could be a pretty big Democrat, say President Obama, and if you did the wrong thing, Barb was not going to bite her tongue, and she was going to go out and say what she thought, and say this was wrong, and this guy better not do it again. I'm not going to vote for him. And up and down, Washington D.C. and Santa Fe, I personally had and she was there to support people who felt the same way and wanted to speak truth to power. And I can remember, at least on 2 occasions, being up in Santa Fe at a legislative committee hearing and seeing DFNM blog stuff getting passed around and people saying, "Can you believe she said that about us?" And she, of course, she was a heck of a human being. I first met Barb and Mary Ellen when I was running for PRC in 2003, the first time, and I didn't know what to do, and I showed up at the Page One bookstore, and they were doing this Howard Dean thing, and there were about 15, 20 people there who might be voters, and so I came back a couple of times, and then I gotta be honest here, say something to everybody. Who, when you first met Barb and Mary Ellen, did you kind of have trouble keeping them apart? Nobody had that experience? Because they're so inseparable, they're so inseparable when it came to the politics. Different people, but, and my own experience was a few years later, running into them it was a march, it was a protest. I think it was gay rights. I think it was something about Prop 8 in California. And we got to sit down and talk, and we really clicked. And we became from political associates became friends, and Barb and Mary Ellen became friends of our family, and took on a personal dimension. And I just want to share a couple more things. We had the opportunity to spend some time with Barb in her last couple of months, and one of the things she told us, really struck a chord, and you can imagine it. She said, I'm too young to have this. I'm too young for this to happen to me. But the truth of the matter is I've lived more than a full life. I packed more into my life the experiences, had the hard living, the fun living, the love, and I think as Jean said, you know, she was satisfied, and I think she had the right to be. I've got something I want to read, but I want to ask Max if she wants to add something first.
I do. It's really difficult for me to celebrate Barb, her life in words without tears, so I'll be very brief. Though it's well known that Barb was a really great writer, I think that she would love to hear us say it out loud. So I just want to recognize how much I admired her writing.
I want to close by reading something written by Hannah Senesh, who, as some may know, she was a partisan, fought the Nazis, was murdered, killed by the Nazis, and she wrote the following. My congregation, we typically read this during the memorial service in Yom Kippur, and I think it's so appropriate for Barb. There are stars whose radiance is visible on earth. Oops. Oh my gosh. Okay. There are stars, and you know, it's tacky to read off of here, but Barb was all about the electronic devices. You know, her proudest possession was the iPad that Mary Ellen got her, and she was on it to the end. Help me out here, Max. I hit the wrong button.
That happens. Where's a young one?
Okay. There are stars whose radiance is visible on Earth, though they have long been extinct. There are people whose brilliance continues to light the world, even though they are no longer among the living. These lights are particularly bright when the night is dark. They light the way for us.